Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, friends and colleagues of the House. Representative Holt, I will never forget my second day here when you came over and shook my hand and said that you were looking forward to working with me. Honestly, that meant a lot to me, and I thank you for that. And honest to God, I wish in our time here together that we could have worked on something, anything good together. I wish we could have worked on bills that would have made Iowans freer, that could have worked on bills that have brought good jobs and economic opportunity, and that we could have worked on bills that cleaned up Iowa's imperiled waterways. Instead, we have amended a relatively non-controversial bill and overridden it with House File 2541, which is a bill to diminish the civil rights of Iowans. Let us recall why we are here today. Because while the authors of this bill will claim that this is for uniformity and to prevent a local patchwork, keep in mind this legislature created that patchwork. It created that patchwork last year when it passed Senate File 418, the Civil Rights Removal Act of 2025, an act which deprived transgender Iowans of their civil rights protections in the areas of housing, employment, education, credit, and accommodation. This government said that it was okay for transgender Iowans to be discriminated against in those areas, but our local government stood up and said unequivocally that we value our transgender residents and will protect them. That is what prompted HF 2541, which became this amendment that was adopted today. The communities of Ames, Bettendorf, Cedar Rapids, Coralville, Council Bluffs, Davenport, Decorah, Des Moines, Dubuque, Fort Dodge, Grinnell, Iowa City, Waterloo, and Webster City, as well as the fine people of Johnson County, all said with a voice that we still protect our transgender residents and welcome them in our community. I am proud to hail from the great city of Hiawatha, a village who proudly proclaims to be the corridor's most welcoming community in the creative corridor, a town that welcomed me home in my darkest hour. I am also proud to represent the great city of Cedar Rapids, whose stated motto is "Welcome is our language." We say welcome because we want people to come to our communities. We want people to move to our cities. We want people to live their best lives. We want them to feel safe, and we want them to be comfortable in rights and dignity, and we want them to succeed. It is clear from the Enhanced Civil Rights Removal Act that we are voting on today that transgender people are not welcome in Iowa. And the reason why I mention that is important is because if you've never had the privilege to serve on local government, one of the most important things that our local governments do is economic development, building communities, and building workforce. In the year since this chamber passed the Civil Rights Removal Act, I have heard from countless members of the queer community throughout Iowa that they no longer feel welcome and they no longer feel safe in Iowa. Many have already left, and many more are making plans to do so. A year ago, when I was out door knocking, I talked to a resident, told him about why I was running for office, and he said, "Well, that's all fine and good, but here's the thing I truly worry about. I'm retiring, and I really worry about who is going to take care of me as I get older. With our government driving so many people out of the state faster than they can replace them, the answer as to who will take care of them may be nobody." Iowa does not have the luxury of a pointless culture war, because the tragic end result is that when the flames of it finally burn out, all we will be left with is the ashes. We need people in Iowa. We need to welcome all people to Iowa. We do not have the luxury of spurning workers who take their time, their talent, and their tax dollars to neighboring states, especially when Iowa has an aging population, a workforce shortage, and a fiscal death spiral. This chamber needs to live the values that we proclaim on our flag, our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain, instead of what our current practice of, if you don't conform, this government will hurt you. The Civil Rights Removal Act of 2025 is a stain on our historical legacy of being a welcoming state. It is a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the Iowa Constitution. The Enhanced Civil Rights Removal Act that we are considering today doubles down on that by not only violating the Equal Protection Clause of the Iowa Constitution, but it violates the Home Rule Amendment of the Iowa Constitution as well. This bill before us today makes a mockery of our state's most sacred values. It diminishes our ability to attract new workers, and it spurns our friends and neighbors who will find friendlier homes in neighboring states. I will close today with a reflection upon my time in local government. And I always recall the words of my fellow council member, Marty Burns. He always said, the state gave us home rule 50 years ago, and they've been trying to take it away ever since. Every year that I was on council, it was not a question of if, but what the state would take away from us. The strategy of keep our heads down and maybe it won't be so bad never worked. So if this bill passes here today, I will simply reaffirm that keeping your heads down will not work. The state government only takes and takes and takes, and always has the gall to demand more. So if this bill should come to pass, my message to those 14 cities in one county is this: stand up. Stand up for justice. Stand up for freedom, and stand up for the rights of your citizens. Because this state is long overdue for a check on its constitutional abuses and the reckless disregard for the rights and freedoms of its citizens. Stand up for your people. And I ask the people of this House to do the same and vote this bill down.